Secretary Blinken, there's a feeling that it's more than a feeling. It's what we see happening on the ground, that the U.S.-China tensions are leading to greater fragmentation, and that you're almost competing for, alliances. Who's our ally? And we see this within the UN and various UN institutions, but we just see it all around the globe. To what extent do you feel that you are challenged in your travels around the world on the fundamental questions?
Well, first, it's wonderful to be with my friends, wonderful to be back in Munich at the Security Conference, known among all of us as speed dating for diplomats. But we've done a couple of things, and I'll come quickly to your question. From the start of this administration, we've made an investment, a reinvestment, in our alliances, in our partnerships, and in the multilateral system. We've reinvested, we've re-engaged, we've tried to rejuvenate, we've even reimagined. And the reason for that is simple. It's because it's in our interest to do it. Not a single one of the challenges that we have to face and that are so important to the interests of the American people can we effectively deal with alone, as powerful and as resourceful as we are. And so across the board, we've seen our comparative advantage as having a strong network of voluntary alliances, voluntary partnerships, and if you're not at the table in the international system, you're going to be on the menu. So it was very important for us to re-engage multilaterally, and we've done that. When it comes to strategic competition, and there's no doubt that we have one with China, there are a few things to be said. First, we have an obligation to manage that relationship responsibly. And I think that's something that we hear from countries around the world, and it's clearly in our interest to do so. And that's exactly what President Biden is doing. And when it comes to other countries, the point is not to say to country X, Y, or Z, you have to choose. The point is to offer a good choice. And if we can do that, and I believe we can and we have and will continue, then I think the choice becomes fairly self-evident. Over the last 6 or 7 months, we have engaged in a sustainable way with China. I just met my counterpart Wang Yi here in Munich, but that follows a series of meetings, notably, most importantly, President Biden and President Xi. And I think we brought greater stability to the relationship, not moving away from or ignoring the fact that, yes, we have a competition. There are areas where we are contesting each other, but there are also areas where we can and should cooperate because it's in our interest to do that. One of the best examples of that is the agreement we reached with China on fentanyl, the single largest, the number one killer of Americans aged 18 to 49 is a synthetic opioid, fentanyl. Now we have meaningful cooperation from and with China on fentanyl. That's going to make a difference in the lives of Americans.
And you think it is sustainable to have cooperation in some areas, climate being one of them, but to have a strategic competition, the strategic competition that defines geopolitics today and that will go on for a very long time, do you think that is sustainable, that both sides sort of can find rules of engagement? This is where we compete and this is where we cooperate?
Some fundamentals haven't changed. Countries will act in their self-interest. Where we have to compete, we will. Where we have to contest, we will. Where it makes sense to cooperate, we will. And I think you can do all of the above at the same time. But there's something else that's, I think, changed, and it goes back to the first part of the question. The very fact that we've re-engaged and rejuvenated, as well as reimagined some of our alliances and partnerships, along with the investments that we've made at home in the United States, the investments we've made in our infrastructure, the investments we've made in science and technology and chips, the building blocks of the 21st century economy, the investments we've made in climate technology. You put those two things together, investments at home, much greater alignment with partners and allies across the board in Europe, in the Indo-Pacific, in Asia, on how to approach a question as complicated as relations with China. That puts us in a position of much greater strength in dealing with all of the challenges that we have to deal with.